Hi there, my name is Suzanne, and in this video I'll be talking about stress in the project Stressing Me Out. So Hans once says that stress is the physiological response that occurs when an organism fails to respond appropriately to emotional and physical threats. So when someone is facing stress, the body takes them through three stages. The first one is alarm. In this stage, the body releases stress hormones, including cortisol, to bring the person to the next stage, which is resistance. Here, the body adapts to the ongoing threat and tries to return it to normal function. So the glucose level increases and sustains the energy, and the blood pressure actually increases. After resisting, the body will face the last stage of stress, which is called exhaustion, where the body, like, it's running out of its reserves of energy and immunity. The blood sugar level decreases, the tolerance of stress also decreases in the body, so the person will have progressive mental and physical exhaustion, illness, and collapse. So the body organs fail, and eventually illness or death occurs. So here are some definition, and the first one is fight and flight response to stress. So this one, it is an emotional and behavioral reaction to stress that increases the readiness for action. Like when you're facing stress, you're like you should attack someone or aggress someone. So it is actually mainly used by men when they think that they are able to have control on the source of their stress, or if they can't, it helps them to save face from the situation. Also, we have the tend and befriend response, which is a behavioral reaction to stress that involves activities designed to create social network that provide protection from threat. Actually, when the person is facing stress and they try to use this approach, it is like they go out there, they talk to someone, and it helps them by opening up. Yeah, so this may be helpful to explain why women on average they have less heart disease and are living longer than men, because they are most likely to use this response, the response tend and befriend response, but men they are actually used to fight and flight response. So we also have another one, which is optimism. It is a general tendency to expect that positive outcome are going to come out. Finally, it is been finding that optimism people are happier and have less stress because they believe that everything will just be okay. So we also have self-efficacy, which is the belief in the ability of the person to carry out the situation and find some actions which are going to be made to produce desired outcome from the stress. So it has been shown that people with high self-efficacy respond to environment and other threats in an active, constructive way by getting information, talking to friends, and attempting to face and reduce the difficulties they are experiencing. Here, you just think that you are in control of what you are going through or your stresses, and you can step them anytime. So there is also hardiness, which is a tendency to be less affected by life stresses, which helps the relationship, like, between optimism and self-efficacy. So hardy individuals are those who are more positive overall about potentially stressful life, and who take more direct action to understand the causes of negative events which are happening to them, and who attempt to learn from them what may be the value or what they can get out of the stress they are going through. So they use effective coping strategies, and they take better care of themselves. So stress in the long run and the short run, it can have effect on someone. So in the short time, uh, if the stress, when you're having stress, in the short time, you can have headache, you can have muscle tension or pain, you can have chest pain, you can have fatigue, you can have stomach upset and sleep problems. And in the long run, stress if stress is not managed, it can cause or lead someone to heart disease, digestion problem, memory and concentration impairment. Yeah. So stress also damages our DNA, making the body less likely to be able to repair wounds and respond to the genetic mutation that cause diseases. So that means that someone who has a wound and they have stress, the wound will be likely to heal slowly, and that person is more likely to get cancer. So chronic stress is a major contribution to heart disease. So heart problems are caused in part by genetic factors or by high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and cigarette smoking, but it is also caused by stress. So long-term stress creates two opposite effects on the coronary system. Stress increases cardiac output. It means that the heart pumps too much blood, and at the same time, it reduces the ability of the blood vessels to conduct the blood through the arteries, as as it is going also to increase the level of cortisol, which is going to lead to build up a plaque on artery walls. The combination of cortisol and the increased blood flow and the arteries constriction leads to increased blood pressure, which is called hypertension, which can damage the heart muscle and lead to heart attack or death. So cortisol is the hormone of stress that releases sugar in the blood, helping preparing the body to respond to threats and to know how to cope with them actually. So it is really good to cope with stress, because managing it is going to give peace of mind or help the person to live longer and healthier. So here are some strategies that someone can apply to deal with stress. The first one, the person can choose to write or to write what they are going through, because it is going to help them to feel like I'm understanding better what I'm living. And the second one, the person can choose to use the fight and flight response or turn and befriend response. So they can also go to their hobbies, do something that they feel like they're good in them, like music or talking to someone, practicing yoga, or I don't know, meditation, something which is going to help them get relaxed. It's something that we should learn to avoid in our life, even though it is not that easy, because the experience of stress creates both an increase in general arousal in the sympathetic division of the autonomic nervous system, ANS, as well as another even more complex system of physiological changes through the HPA axis, which is a physiological response to stress involving interactions among the hypothalamus, the pituitary, and the adrenal glands. So the initial arousal that accompanies stress is normally quite adaptive, because it helps us to respond to potential dangerous events. It is actually normal and it helps someone. But the experience of prolonged stress, however, has a direct negative potential has a direct negative influence on the physical health of the person, because at the same time the stress increases activity in the body of someone. It means that the sympathetic division of the ANS, it also suppresses activity in the sympathetic division of ANS. When stress is in the long term, the stress has been experienced in more than one time, like the person is often in stress, the HPA axis remain active and the adrenal continues to produce cortisol. The increased cortisol exhausts the stress mechanism, leading to fatigue and depression. So the HPA reaction to persistent stress lead to a weaken the immune system, making us more susceptible susceptible to a variety of health problems, including cold and other diseases. So stress can even kill someone. So it means that when someone is having stress, it is really helpful to find ways to deal with it, because it can affect both your heart, both your nervous system, and even your appetite. So for me, I'm going to give you some example, like how I learned and about my stress and how I was dealing with them. Once I was stressed when I came at Kepler. I was stressed just by the program itself, because I was learning in a French system. So to shift from French system to the English one, it was quite difficult for me, and I was really stressed because I had this classmate who was brilliant, and I was asking myself, how am I going to fit into this community? Because I was seeing that they were intelligent than me, they were brilliant in English, and my accent was that's not really good. And I could sit in class traumatized with everything which is going on, and I really don't know how I'm going to do that. So I tried to do it like a positive person. I tried to be positive and know how I'm going to, thinking that I'm going to to get out of it. But with time, I found that I could not help myself. That optimism that I was developing at the first time, I was like, when the time is going on, I'm going to get used and I'm going to deal with it and everything will be okay. So with time, I saw that I could not help myself, because I was developing insomnia, I could not sleep, and I could not even be focused in class, and I saw that it is going to hinder my academic performance. So I saw that I had to use the 10 and befriend response to stress. So I went to see the counselor of the school. I talked to her, and she told me like how to develop my self-confidence, how to cope with those stresses of mine, and to know that not everyone is perfect. Even those people that I'm thinking that they are so brilliant, they have some weaknesses in them. So I have to consider myself as I am and try to work hard so that I may fit in the community. So talking just to the nurse helped me a lot, and I saw that this 10 and befriend response to stress, though you can be optimistic, it is okay, but it is also good to talk to someone who can advise you. So another example that I was dealing with stress, actually this one I didn't know how to deal with it, because it brought me straight to the hospital. Once I was in love with someone, and I was really deep in it, that I could be dreaming about it, everything was about the person. So at a given moment, the person started like acting out as if they don't know me, like I don't exist, ignoring me, and I could be stressed every time. So I thought that maybe let me be optimistic about this one. Maybe tomorrow morning I'm going to wake up and everything will be okay, because maybe the person is passing through a difficult moment. So I was forging some fake smiles in front of my friend, thinking that situation will come to a pass and everything will be alright at the morning. But it was not the case. I was starting to experience heart problem. I had hypertension. Like one day I was in my room sleeping, I was sweating, I was crying, my my heart was going too fast, and I was trying, I don't know, I was feeling dizzy. I tried to sleep, I could not. And then my mother passing just by my bedroom, she heard me. I was breathing as if someone, well, as if I'm going to vomit, but I could not even vomit. So when she heard that, she came in my room, and she just saw me there sitting, sweating, trying to vomit. My body had like was so hot, and then she just brought me to the hospital. I could not talk to someone, because I was feeling that this is too personal. So I was trying to use the fight and flight response to stress. I was like, okay, I can deal with this one. I, I can go to a pass, because it is not going to kill me. The person is going to come back to themselves and everything will be okay. But it was not the case. So when she brought me to the hospital, the doctor told me like I should not stay with everything in my heart. I should learn how to open up, like to use the turn and befriend response to stress. Because when I'm keeping all those things in my heart, it means that I'm not giving space to myself to explore other perspective of life, and that is what is killing me. So when I'm facing stress, it is good to talk to people and be somewhat optimism. So now I have learned something about being self efficacy. Like, I know in case I'm in stress, I know that I can go out there, talk to people, and take some actions which are going to help me. Because I have found that stress, it is not a good friend, and staying with it for a long period can cause even death. So I'm not planning to die. So that's why I have enjoyed learning how to deal with stress, and I'm really thankful.